Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. It's Sunday Comics. That means I'm going to take a comic and we're going to check it out, the whole thing. So this week I'm going to do Horace H. Hoover by Fabrizio Aiello. He does it all. He's a one-man shopping mall. He writes, he draws, he colors, he inks, he does all the computer graphic design and prints it all up. One-stop shopping over here for Fabrizio Aiello. Good job. And this is the Gloomy Wood edition. Originally, it came out with Alterna Comics. He broke from Alterna Comics, and he's doing it on his own. There we go. Focus. Yes. And Gloomy Wood. And he explained why it's Gloomy Wood, and I am such a scatterbrained, I forget why it's some sort of literature thing. Fabrizio is a very, very erudite person. You got to use words like that when you talk about Fabrizio. Okay, so first off, let's check out the comments. So, of course, we got my comic over here, Heroic Tales. Let's do some accounting. Things that I'm bad at, such as like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I'm the worst YouTuber in the world. I never tell people about super chats or anything like that, but they are all there. I'm not an e-girl. I'm not a cam whore. You guys do what you want. I do what I want. I do what I want. But anyway, let's be serious. So Heroic Tales 2 is at the printers right now. My first comic did 300. My first comic did, I think just over 300 in sales during the campaign, and about 500 sales after the campaign. When you compare that to so that means I have I'll round the numbers. So my first issue had 500 unique backers, which is pretty good considering the Pit Omnibus has 900 unique backers. So it's about half as popular as Pit. My comic is half as popular as Pit as far as customers go. My second comic is about 300. Not bad. Drop off of 200. But I'm hoping to pick up some of the lost sales. But anyway, there we go. It's at the printers right now. Hope you all having my blessed Sunday. Yes, I am. I got to say, because of my new job schedule, which will probably last until January, I'm working 3 to 11. And one of the things I am enjoying about this shift is I go to bed and I don't even set an alarm. I just wake up when I wake up. The bad thing is, and I never thought this would be a bad thing, is I'm getting too much sleep. The only thing worse than not enough sleep is too much sleep. I wake up and I'm like, I still got a couple hours. I lay in bed. It just lowers your metabolism and you don't want to do anything. I honestly, since I started working the shift now, this is what my second month on this shift. I'm all caught up on my scripts as far as artists and everything like that working. And I'm trying to put myself ahead. I'm about 4 years ahead of Longbox Productions. So there's no rush for me to do for the scripts. But I got so many ideas. I want to get them done before I forget other ones. But I'm like, I don't have to. Because I'm just so, my metabolism just got slow. I mean, I'm still losing weight, which is good, but because work is hard. But too much sleep is a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen. Get up early. I should set my alarm, get up early, and do stuff anyway. Even though, because I'll wake up and I'm like, hey, I don't have to get ready for work until 1. So if I don't have if I don't do a noon conversation or video, I just lay around. It's gross. It's absolutely gross. And then I come home from work and I'm like, I'm just going to go to bed. So I just go to bed right after work and then lay in bed. It's gross. It's disgusting. Good morning. Ben Sabar, voice actor. And Marcus. How you doing, Marcus? How's everything? I keep saying one of these weekends I'm going to go drive up and see your sister's coffee shop. What's the name of the coffee shop in Tarrytown that your sister works in? Maybe one of these days I'll just surprise walk in. So anyway, this is Horace H. Hoover. I always like to filibuster a bit until people show up. This is the world's words are difficult. An occult pulp tale of mystery and adventure. New York City's greatest space-time occult detective vacuum. I just love that. Coffee Labs, that's the name. Okay, Coffee Labs. Coffee Labs, for those of you in the tri-state area, it's a coffee shop in Tarrytown, formerly Sleepy Hollow of the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and Marcus Kellegrew's sister runs a coffee shop, and she helped me create a character in my dreams. I'm not even joking. I had a dream that I was there, and the woman there in my dream, who was Marcus Kellegrew's sister, helped me come up with the character. All right, so Gloomywood Fabrizio, this is 105. So this is a 5-issue series. I don't know if Fabrizio says he will continue it after 5. I don't know if it'll be like a series of one-shots or a series of miniseries. I don't know. I asked him, but I honestly don't remember. But Fabrizio says he wants to do other things, come back to Horace, do other things, come back to Horace, which is quite fun. I mean, I got the same idea. I'm going to do my next crowdfund comic is going to be the Patriarch #1, and then I'm not sure if the next one will be Heroic Tales 2 or the Origin of Santa Claus, because all of those are all Renzo's going to be drawing it, and then probably be Heroic Tales, because once we do Heroic Tales 2, I have other artists doing Heroic Tales 3, 4, 5, and then Renzo can work. That's probably what I'm going to do. All right, so let's check out the back cover. I just love this. I just love this character, and I Gloomywood. In the gritty, mysterious, ever-changing streets of 1920s New York City, an occult detective is open for business. Horace H. Hoover, a metal-encased hero, tries helping a frightened neighbor, only to find out that the apparition is a clue to a long-forgotten resident's whereabouts. For his next case, H. Hoover is tasked with tracking down and delivering a strange idol for protection from a peculiar cult, only to find that they have spies hidden everywhere. This comic is just a blend of superheroes, Hellboy, H.P. Lovecraft, and humor. It's just a charming comic. There's no other way to describe it. I just really dig it. Marcus has this comic. Cool. Did I say? Oh yeah, Ben Sabar. Okay. He seems so exuberant. Yes. Look, Fabrizio has a difficult. He set himself up with a difficult chore over here. He has a character who doesn't have a face. He has a vacuum cleaner on his head, and I keep meaning to do research. When did Hoover start making vacuums? Because this is the 20s, so this is like, from the future. I don't know, but he makes the character emote through body language. Does a really good job. You can't tell what is going on, and yet you know how he's feeling. Good call, Zach Dan. On the front cover, he's straight back calm in the storm while wearing a strange outfit. Yeah, over here he's exuberant. That's a good word to describe it. And over here, he's in control. Good catch. Good catch. Yeah. Good catch. All right, my StreamYard's just act wonky for a second. So let's open up the comic book, shall we? Story, art, and ha-has by Fabrizio Arello. All right. The Smoke Man Rises. Look at that splash page. One of the things I don't think Fabrizio gets enough credit for is his coloring. He's been on my channel a few times. I guess full disclosure, Fabrizio did an ad for me in Heroic Tales 1, and he's doing an ad in Heroic Tales 2. And when he's done with issue 4 of Horace H. Hoover, he's drawing a story, the memoirs of Violet McCready, which is going to introduce some core concepts in my long box universe, and I'm hoping the next big hit character. I love this freaking character. Oh, shout out to Tim Hortons. I have a Farberware coffee pot, 2 scoops Tim Hortons, 1 scoop Cafe Bustelo, because last night I streamed. I did comics. I put all my comics in the back room, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to eat first, and I ate the second half of my Gobble Gobble, which is the local diner. They do Thanksgiving on a panini, so it's turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce, gravy, all smushed into a panini. I ate half of it and passed out. Literally, I came home, fell asleep on the chair for 2 hours, too much sleep. And then I ate the other half, and I guess it activated the tryptophan, and I went right to bed. And I slept until 8 o'clock. So from like 11 to 8, I'd just been sleeping way too much. So I accomplished nothing. Accomplished absolutely nothing. Congratulations. Yay me. The woman looks like she should be proportionally tall. Is she not standing, or am I off? Okay, well, she's a kid. That's a kid. That's a little girl. So technically she is a woman, but she is a woman of the years deprived version. So we got a nice splash page. The Smoke Man rises. Oh, as I was saying, the colors. Fabrizio purposely limits himself to a smaller color palette. In this world of computers, you have like an infinite variety of hues. But I think, and I'm hoping Fabrizio shows up in the chat to correct me, but I think he limits himself to 64 colors or something like that. So and it's a perfect example of limits cause creativity. I know it sounds counterproductive, but when you are faced with a limit, it forces you to become more and more creative. And a lot of people push back at me with this, and I'm not going to argue with them because their points are valid too. But under the Comics Code Authority, we have some of the best comics ever made. When comics were a free-for-all, I mean, even most of them during the Comics Code Authority were garbage. But like, what are the comics that are remembered pre-code? Some EC stuff, right? Some Superman stuff, Batman stuff. But for the most part, like, I think some of the best, most memorial comics were made under the Comics Code Authority. Of course, that's not a hard, fast rule, but like, I don't know. 64 colors is a good blend, much more than the colors start becoming hard to distinguish. Yeah. Like some comics, they use so many colors that it almost becomes like a stained glass window. You lose the 3D of it. And if I mention the comic that I'm talking about, I'm going to get attacked and clipped and made fun of. But sometimes it's just too much colors, and it, like right now, I'm looking around my basement. It's not, everything's not super bright. Not everything's standard. There's subtlety, and but when you, I think it's like a rookie mistake to overcolor your comics, and it just causes a cognitive dissonance, and you can't tell what's in the foreground, what's in the background. Oh, Fabrizio is here. Can't remember the exact number. It's the 70s, early 80s palette. They have an official set out there. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Fabrizio. You want some for shading, but contrast is important for storytelling. Yes. There's a few movies that limit their color palette. Notably, John Wick. Look at John Wick. And I remember the first time I saw John Wick, I didn't see it in the movies. The first John Wick I did not watch in the movies. It just didn't seem appealing to me. And one of my friends was like, you didn't see John Wick? So we went to his house, and he has like the ultimate setup, speakers in the couch and everything like that. And he's like, what did you think? And I was like, that was a comic book. I said, did you notice the lighting? There was red lights, blue lights, yellow lights, and green lights. the lighting. I said that was specific. I said I 100% that the directors of this movie were comic book fans. And about 2 years later, I read in an interview that they were comic book fans, and they said it like a 4-color. And it, you know, watch the lighting in John Wick. It's very striking. Sometimes less is more. Yep. Uh, the colors often print dark too. Yeah. All right, let's turn the page. But check this out. So here we got a freaking hand growing out of a book. Gets your attention. We got the little girl over here. Uh, to bring back to Zachtan's comment over here, we got the head tilt, but the hands out, signifying confidence. I got this, everything under control. We got the head back, confidence. Like it's like an equation, you know. This exuberance, like joy, like job well done, positive things. And then over here, we got the head tilted forward, his hand out here, this other hand unsure. This is what's going on, but I'm still protecting this kid. Wonderful acting in a character that really doesn't have a face. You know, you look at the face to see what should we do, face and body language, but we don't have a face. So over exaggerate. It's almost like, it's kind of funny because it's set in the 20s during the silent era of the movies. The actors had to over gesticulate. Is that the correct word? Over gesticulate. It's almost the same thing. Well, it's not almost. It is the same thing with Fabrizio. He can't. Well, he could talk, but he doesn't have a face to show the horror and everything. So he's over gesticulating, and we get exactly what is going on. I never realized it over here, but he has an outlet. I never noticed it just now. You think an electrician would notice that stuff? And here we go. So we got the roar art. Jeez, I can't even talk anymore. So I'm not going to read the whole comic to you, but again, we're just going to check out the storytelling over here. If you didn't read, if you couldn't read, if the words weren't here, you would just see he's relaxed, he's sleeping. You know, feet up on the desk, typical private eye. You know, the only thing you need now is the slanted lights, you know, the slats across his face. But this is Fabrizio Aiello. Me and him do a show together called Post-Tentious. So it's not just thinking about dames and gams and slugs and 38 snub-nosed revolvers. What is he thinking about? He's more erudite. Is the second use of that word. So I'm going to read this. I just get a kick out of Fabrizio's writing. New York City, 20s, Earth, the study of HHH. What is a hero? Aristotle wrote that a hero is one who faces danger with courage. Buddha believed a person who has overcome a sworn enemy is worthy of being called a hero. History has many heroes, from Achilles to Scipio Africanus to George Washington. One thing of all these heroes had in common, they were all awake. I don't know. I get a kick out of that. That's Post-Tentious. And here we go. You know, he's sleeping. All is well in the world. And he gets a call. And I love this. Horace doesn't just sleep. I must have dozed off while absorbing the world's great secrets, but the sounds of malevolence can never escape the notice of the stewards of justice. I love the way he talks. I think Horace is his dialogue just amuses me more than anybody else. I wrote one word bubble of Horace H. Hoover, and it brought me more joy than anything else. You'll see. Heroic Tales 2. I wrote one word bubble for Horace H. Hoover, and I love it. And the distress appears to be emanating from one of the apartments upstairs. Hold fast. The forces of good will vanish that which is attacking your sanity. You know, he has no idea, but he already knows, you know. Hello, small woman. Are you the one calling for help? Yes, the smoke man won't leave me alone. Will you help me? Of course. for I had fought and run some of the most terrifying things in the universe. Horace H. Hoover at your service. You know, and what she, uh, thank you. My aunt doesn't believe me. I'm so scared. My name is Hattie Preston. Geez, I can't even read anymore. Are you a policeman? Is that why you wear that helmet? I am not, but I do help those in need, such as yourself. My helmet helps me think and travel to places others cannot. Now tell me, who is bothering you and where are they? There's a monster. I mean, man, he follows me wherever I go. Whenever I turn around, he's there. I'm afraid to look. Is he there now? Do you see him? I, I, it's subtle, but that's Fabrizio for you. It's his humor, his vocabulariness, whatever, his eloquence, and then she could explain everything in super deep, but she explains it like a kid. There's a monster. He follows me wherever I go. Wherever I turn around, I see him. Is he there? You know, you could hear the fear, the desperation, and that's something. Which one of us as a kid didn't think we were being followed by a monster? The corner of your eyes. I think that's like the curse of every imaginative kid. And this is just something I think we could all, at some point, obviously it's not real. We don't really have monsters following us, but we've all had that fear. So this is like humor, comedy, oddness, weirdness, and then juxtaposed. How's that, Fabrizio? You're making me more loquacious. Just juxtaposed with like a universal fear that every kid has. What kid doesn't have a monster under the bed? What trees don't turn into maleficent beasts at night during the wind? So what is there? Oh, needless to say, I check out the comic, address the comments. Check out the comment, address the that's the format going forward. He's all business. Where? Okay, being awake at the right time helps. Yes. I see small woman. Yeah, he calls her small woman. Well, she is a small woman, right? Good morning. Just saying hi. Can't stay at work. Okay. You gotta work. Gotta pay those bills. Those bills ain't gonna pay themselves. So let's turn the page. Oh, one thing I wanted to point out. Background. We already see him going up the stairs. Limited lighting, limited colors, and we don't really need all of these super details. We got a doorway over here. We got the stairs over here. I got this 3D layout in my head. I know exactly where Horace. I mean, I don't know the street. I don't know if there's a 7-Eleven on the corner, but you know what I'm saying? Like he left his apartment and he went up the stairs. I don't know about you, but I feel lost if I don't know where the characters are. I don't know what you guys do, but when I'm reading a comic, I'm always vaguely aware of where the characters are. And if they make a transition from room A to room Q without going to B, C, D, D, it's jarring to me. It's confusing to me. And now that I'm writing scripts, again, how pretentious does that sound? I have one comic book out. When I'm writing script, but I've written about 10 scripts, complete scripts, and 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are complete, and 6, no, about 12, doesn't matter, but a bunch of them are being worked on now. So I'm aware of how does the character get from here to there. And if it's done well, you don't need to fill every spot with information. The brain is filling in the details. For instance, we don't need to know that Horace has legs over here. We don't need to know that he's stepping up the steps. I mean, our brain fills. I mean, we don't have to see it. We know it. Things like that. But anyway, good job. He wakes up. He goes up the stairs. We know where he is. I'm not confused. I'm not confused in the slightest. And that's something I don't know what you guys do. Just out of curiosity, we got a bunch of people watching. Anybody writing scripts? Anybody making their own comics? To me, I think the most important thing, I mean, you got a good character, you got a good story, but for the story to work, you got to have the connective tissue from page to page, from panel to panel, so that nothing is ever jarring. And so far, nothing is jarring whatsoever. Just going up the stairs, you know. I mean, I don't know how long it took Fabrizio to draw this, but this is just a guy walking up the stairs. It's a necessary panel. It's connective tissue. I say recently, about a year ago, somebody sent me their script to read and I read it. And that's like my big concern. It's like there's no connective tissue. It just jumps from action scene to action scene to action scene to action scene to the point. But how do they get there? Literally, they were in different locations. There was different characters. And I'm like, but there's nothing connecting it. I know you just want to get to, and this was an artist mostly and a writer second. I said, I know you want to draw the cool stuff, but the brain needs to know, how did this guy get here? That. So I am super aware to the point it might be my biggest weakness is, how does the character get from here to there? I wrote the first Raven story, and it only has 3 locations. There's 3 locations, and I don't want to spoil it, but there's 3, and I'm like, am I limiting myself to, by being so aware of how does the characters get here to there? Like, but nobody flies. It's a crime story. It's if once you get familiar with the Raven, it's a violent crime story. It's except for the fact that there's a guy in a costume. There's no laser beams. There's no teleportation devices, giant monsters. It's basically a Batman story. So like, to get to where they need to go, you got to make it clear, otherwise it's jarring. Am I belaboring this point? I'm sorry, but let's check their comments and we'll turn the page. But anyway, Fabrizio's doing a good job just within this apartment building of letting me know where he is. And the point that I was trying to make is, once you establish where you are, how you got there, you don't need to bog down on the details. It's kind of like a time-saving trick. That was a lot of words. Fabrizio got me very verbacious. Okay, Omnipro B. I missed the intro. Is Horace man or machine? Like he says right here. Will you help me? Horace H. Hoover. Thank you. My name is. Are you a policeman? Is that why you were? I am not a policeman. My helmet helps me to think and travel to places others cannot. Now tell me who is boss. That's it. Is he a man? We know he's wearing a helmet, and it helps him think, but we don't know. He's a mystery at this point. I'm the pro. So I hope that answers your question. I don't want to spoil it. Spatial awareness is important to a story. Absolutely. Especially in a visual medium. Yes, it is. We got the shadow. The shadow knows. So we got to listen to his comment because he knows. I love this comic so much. It's definitely memorable. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, one more comment snuck in at the last second. Well, I agree about the story, especially after studying Ditko. Why does Marcus make that comment? Because Marcus, ironically enough, is the one that made me aware of how much time I dwell on the connective tissue. Marcus is writing a story. I wrote a story. The series is going to be called I Love a Mystery, and it stars the Public Eye and Poinsettia, the female character. She's not a femme fatale. She's actually a sweetheart. And it's an homage to Steve Ditko. And when I saw Marcus's art, I was like, yeah, it's very Ditko-ish. So I was like, ape Ditko, wear it on your sleeve, and we're gonna tell stuff. But it's a guy who punches people. Yes, Public Eye does have super abilities, but they're not the obvious super abilities. He has more like senses. So he's fighting a gang. And while writing the script of fighting, just like the Raven, I had to be aware of where every actor was. Where the Public Eye, where was Poinsettia, where was the bad guys. And then I sent the script off to Marcus, and then he comes back. He goes, "What happened to the 4th guy?" And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, there was 4 muggers, and he only beats up 3. So I go back and I read. Lo and behold, I lost track of one of the muggers. So I said, just change the word from 4 to 3. It serves the purpose that he beats up. The whole purpose was he defends Poinsettia. It didn't matter the amount. But I lost track, and that made me aware. So when I wrote the Raven, how many home invaders going into this house, that I had a 3D model rotating this 3D model in my head when I was writing the script. And the funny thing is the Raven never goes into the house. The Raven is in this script. He's like an observer looking in the windows and watching what's going on, and catching the bad guys as they, try to flee the house. It's, he's hiding behind the door and catching them one at a time. So I was very aware of how many went in, how they were dispatched and everything. So, there we go. The 4th bugger got away. We just dropped it to 3. Easy writing solution. There you go. Little inside baseball. Turn the page. Okay, so now we got. And this is so important. We open the door, and the whole color scheme changes. We could see the orange from the hallway, and then shades of purple, indigo, violet, whatever. They're all the same to my mind. Inside here, we have darker. We went from I guess is orange orange is kind of a primary color to a secondary color. Change in mood, atmosphere. Instinctively your tensions, your hackles. How's that? Your hackles should rise. And I love this. This is such a cool panel. So Horace is confused. He's contemplating. And he's still in the orange. He hasn't yet stepped into the indigo. The little girl is fully in the indigo. Just it's storytelling. Guys, this is comic books. This is how comic books work. There's plenty of things you could criticize about my comics, about Fabrizio's comic, about anybody comic, but Fabrizio knows his comics. And then I like this. He's looking out the window. The window is green. It's another color. Just the color does affect your mood. That's why I got the blues. Envy is green. So what is they doing? We're going back and forth, telling us what's going on. I was unaware that anyone had moved here since Mrs. Sinclair absconded following after his daughter disappeared. I know my aunt tells me what could happen to me if I'm not good. Me and my aunt moved in last month. My parents are gone, so she takes care of me. Where did they go? I like that. He no stone shall be unturned. He's listening at the floor. I don't know. They just never came home, but I'm going to find them one day. So mysteries within mysteries. He didn't know anybody left. He didn't know anybody moved in. Well, I take it back. He knew that the original resident just disappeared. He didn't know anybody moved in. Who are you? Her parents disappeared. Now there's a smoke monster. Boom, 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 boom. All of these mysteries are showing up. And what is he doing? He's peculiar. He's listening at the floor. He's looking underneath the lamp. It's not under the lamp. Haiti, can I see what you got there? That's Mindy Molly Mandy. Is so smart. She could find them. Watch out. The monster. It's right behind. See, look at that. Orange is a secondary color. Yeah, see, I don't know color theory. I'm not an artist in the slightest. I can barely draw. And then, boom. What are you doing? Is there someone else here? Oh, Aunt Phyllis. See, the name Phyllis. Something about the name Phyllis. Nobody is born Phyllis, or Gladys. You know what I mean? You're born Rosemary. You're born, Lisa, and then somewhere around the age of 58, you become Phyllis. You become Gladys. I could see a young Doris, but that's pushing it. But Phyllis, that is a Phyllis face. And I'm just amused because I knew a woman when I was a kid. One of my mother's friends was named Phyllis. I don't want to say the last name, poor lady, but her last name was just awful. Speaking of awful names, I'm amused. I'm laughing now. But my friend James, he had a teacher in third grade. Her name was Mrs. Pust. 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 What a horrible name. You better believe I'm going to have a character named Mrs. Pust. And you know exactly what Mrs. Pust is going to look like. But anyway, this is Phyllis. That is a name that can only be Phyllis. You know, some names write themselves. What are you doing? Is someone here? Oh, Aunt Phyllis, I was just talking to myself. Oh, because I could barely see, that doesn't mean I can't hear everything you do. I pray for the day our sister returns to take you back. But until then, you allow me peace and quiet. Yes, ma'am. Hattie, I apologize. I saw a hideous shape. I saw a hideous shape, and I erred in my conclusion. It's funny. It's funny to me. But if you are certain that was not the monster that we see, he's not sure. He saw Phyllis, and he's still not 100% sure that was not the monster. Why is this so funny to me? Humor is bizarre. Then I may have discovered a clue. There are arcane marks next to the wall next to the fireplace. They appear to have been written in charcoal. Do you know what that means? Aunt Phyllis makes me clean as best as I can, but I hate it. Yes, I do not. You do not say what you were doing before you saw him. Can I see what you were reading? Sure, I have it right here. The library, they let me take it. That little pause says so much. She stole a book. It was her latest book in case one of the assassins missing the cat. I can't even read. I wish people would take better care of their things. Someone wrote all over. Here, let me see. There, we finally cracked the mystery wide open. Right here, what was the best part? You know, these symbols here, they've been recollection. They have failed me, but they believe they are identical to the ones near the fireplace. Allow me a moment to confirm. Oh, what is it? Is he here? I can't bear to turn around. He's so scary. You know, again, that's such a typical childlike fear that there's somebody behind you. Let's check out the comments. Zach10 says, some names just sound like office lady names. The only Phyllis I ever knew was Phyllis Diller. Yeah, every Phyllis looks like Phyllis Diller. Maybe there's something sinister about Phyllis. I have to do what does the name Phyllis mean? You know, that's one of my things that I love, the etymology of names. So I got to look up what Phyllis actually means. Whoa. Haiti, from whence did you say you acquired this epistolary? I can't even say these words. Fabrizio, you're hurting my vocal cords. Epistolary again? It was the library. No, I'm so sorry. That's not true. When we moved in, my aunt made me clean the whole apartment. I was angry, and I found this book in an old box, and I kept it for myself. So she says she got it at the library, but really, she found it. Found books. You know what they say about found books? And look at this hideous freak over here. I'm so sorry, Mr. Horace. I shouldn't have lied. It was stealing, and I was wrong. That's okay, Haiti. So do you think I could have the book? Sure. I've already finished. You'll love it. Millie is smart, like you. Now look. We got purple. You know, kind of dark, kind of scary. It's given the book. It's transitioning to green. And now the orange, the lighter color, is coming in. He's in the hallway now. You know, what is this signifying? To me, it's signifying that this little girl, as much as I hate this word has been destroyed for me, but this girl is now hoping, trust, comfort is now being allowed into her room, into her life. Goodbye. And if you find yourself in need of assistance to escape some unspeakable evil or a relative, that makes me laugh. I don't know why. I will be vigilant and hear your ululations. Makes me feel better knowing you are there. Exactly. So she has something to look forward to now. And we got this creep in the purple over here, lurking about. Oh, I almost forgot. Red and green and dark blue are the three primary colors, while yellow, cyan, and magenta are the three secondary colors. Okay, there we go. Color theory. Horace, are you sure that thing is gone forever? No need to worry anymore. The smoke man should have left the apartment long ago. He just needed some help moving on. And I thought I skipped a page. I promise you'll never see him again, will she? Mr. Sinclair? Dun, dun, dun. So we know Mr. Sinclair disappeared, and now he's transformed into the smoke man and bound to this book. So he took the book. He's haunting the book. This poor girl is no longer plagued by this hideous freak. You don't want that hanging out by you. The satisfied client, a mystery trader, and a fork. So now we got the secondary characters. We got Max over here. We got Slurp over here. And we need a tissue over here. Forgive me. There's something in the morning when I have my first cup of coffee, my nose starts running. I apologize. I just digging this. Just digging this color. Okay, so now we got the I like when he does this. The what do you call it? The raw art, the unfinished art, pencil lines. New York City. I don't know about you guys, but I work in Manhattan, and I like when I work in the areas with the smaller brick buildings rather than the skyscrapers. The skyscrapers just seem so clean, sleek, devoid of personality. And then you get this Manhattan. And it's old, mysterious, mysteries around every corner, brick and mortar, hiding stuff. It's and they're built, to a New Yorker, a 150-year-old building is ancient. I know to a European that's brand new, but to a New Yorker, these old brick and mortar buildings, and they hide secrets. Literally, I was working like this. Looked like the view from one of my windows in the Wall Street area, and then we went up to the 18th floor, and we could see the roof of other buildings. And I was just watching, and I was an apprentice at the time, and the journeyman comes over and goes, "What are you looking at?" And I'm like, look at that building roof. He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Look at all that symbolism over there." And there was like a stone slab with markings on it, and it's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "That's an altar." I said, "The Freemasons who designed this built an altar on top of their building." And he's like, "Yeah." And then I was like, "What is that for? Like, did they come up here in the middle of the night and perform arcane rituals? Is it symbolic? That ain't a coincidence, because that's carved. The bricks are in patterns around this." I said, "That's a symbol of Apollo." And he's like, "Yeah, look at that." And it's just fascinating. That's the kind of stuff you don't see unless you're up there. There's, I always say the name of this building wrong, but it's the whole building is a spire, a temple to Apollo. There's literal lightning bolts on the top. It's shaped like a crown, and I want to say the Sperry building, but I'm always wrong. And you could just see it's just like a pagan altar, made by Protestants, Masons. It's really, really fascinating. And you see that, but you don't see that stuff in the steel glass skyscrapers. The skyscrapers just, to me, just destroyed all the character of these big cities. Like look, I've never been to Tokyo, but I imagine in like the pre-skyscraper era, there was all these like Shinto and Buddhist symbols built into the building. I'm just guessing because I've never been there. But and nobody goes to these skyscrapers are mostly empty now in Manhattan. People working from home. I think the era of skyscrapers is now over. with all of this technology, I think more and more people are going to be working in suburbs, and cities are going to be less important. But I digress. But anyway, but this is art. I looked at this panel, and it made me think of all of these things. You know, all of these memories. You know. All right. So where are we headed again? Well, licensed vehicle operator, my compatriots and I are headed to the Great Valley of the Cloud Worm. Is that uptown? Surely you've heard of the City of Fear, El Nib Kali. Horace, I don't think he has. Maybe we should just give him the cross street. Good point, Max. Driver, keep the southerly direction until we have 23rd Avenue. There it is. Halt, driver. Are you sure this is where you want to go? This is indeed our destination, and we are in the progress of making an urgent delivery post haste. So Horace is always talking as if everybody knows the world the way he knows the world, and Horace knows the world in a slightly different way than everybody else. Again, I'll check out the comments. Omniprobe. So how does Horace's helmet work? Don't know. Don't know what it's for. Don't know why. We have 2 more issues. I don't know if Fabrizio is going to reveal the mystery in issue 4, issue 5, or save that for the next series. I don't know. And I want to know, but I don't want him to tell me. I want to find out in the reading. Whatever you say, but this place doesn't look too welcoming for your kind of theater group. Yep. Sir, you are a gentleman and a scholar. Having performed your duties with grace and aplomb, you shall find that I have added a relative amount to your remuneration based on your competency and attitude. You could have just said I gave you a tip. I don't remember this being here the last time I was downtown. It's rather easy to miss if you aren't keenly aware of your surroundings. And then we got this freak of nature over here, Slurp. Is he an alien? Is he a vampire? We'll find out later. And I didn't know this, but apparently you could translate his words. And I need to do that. It's driving me crazy. I just looked at it and said, okay, it's nonsense. But I found out that you can, and I need to find out the key so I could translate what Slurp is saying. As per our client's correspondence, our fates take us to the Valley of Fear. Does the correspondence say anything about a tentacle downtown? So I like this. There's like pocket dimensions. It didn't exist last time they were here. Now it does exist. I'm not quite sure anything, Soma Dane, but allow me to peruse our communication. I can't even read anymore. No, it's just a reminder of our contract to deliver the idol at the predetermined time and location, along with what appears to be a crudely drawn map. Unfortunately, nothing of value. Why do you take these cases? I didn't go straight just to get eaten by some alien that likes bite-sized ex-bookies. Well, Max, so we got Max over here. Max is slightly diminutive, short. We know about him now. We know that he was a criminal. He was a bookie. He didn't go straight. Was he arrested? Was he threatened? Did he have a crisis of conscience? I don't know, but these are all questions that I want to know about Max. He was a bad guy. Now he's a good guy. That just doesn't happen. I had a friend who prided himself on drinking. I could drink more than you. I could drink on the table. I could drink. I'm going out drinking. Then, boom, teetotaler. Doesn't drink. Never drinks. Drinks a lot of coffee, but doesn't drink alcohol. Doesn't talk about what happened. Something happened, and I don't know what it is, and he doesn't tell. Overnight, literally, like it was a one weekend. 8 days ago, 15 minutes before the last stop. I think they've been watching. All right, so break in time, return the page. So this, again, comic books. This is comic books. We have every time I say this, I get mad at myself. But, having one comic book out, I'm aware that when you turn the page, it's a physical act. It's a natural break. It's something you have to do to continue the story. So that becomes part of the experience itself. Now, I bet you, oh, because the pages that it went out of focus, but I bet you when you read on the web, when you don't, you just scroll down. I bet you stuff like this doesn't work as well. But what we got over here is a natural break. I'm turning the page, and boom, the color is different. Excuse me, and the words say 8 days ago. It's a perfect time to do a jump. It's a perfect place to do a jump in time. Oh, geez, I almost just choked to death on coffee. So now what's going on? We're in the past. Flashback. I think they've been watching me. I think they know, which is why I'm here. I need your help. Here's the stone of Molibios. It's a protection against their kind. If you could retrieve this idol, then I will have insurance I need, and you will have the death compass as payment. You have the compass of El Nilha. I must ask, why does one need to garner the attention of the Veil cult? I acquired a tome fairly, though they do not see it that way. I'm putting my faith and money behind you and your ridiculous helmet. I'll send detailed instructions on where to meet me after you have acquired the idol. The idol's location may be beyond my grasp. It's well within yours, from what I understand. So, this guy's desperate. Did he steal this from the cult? Did he not steal this from the cult? I don't know. He seems like an unreliable character. He seems shifty, and he has something called the Death Compass that he's going to give to Horace for remuneration, and he attracted the attention of the Veil cult. And what does he have here? For those of you who may or may not know, this looks like a drawing of H.P. Lovecraft's description of Cthulhu. There was an idol in the Call of Cthulhu. That's what it looks like. So I've heard about you and your strange quest. Don't do this for me, but in order for you to get closer to your goal. Until then, so he's saying, you're not doing this for me. You're doing this for your goal. So he's taking this idol to this evil brigadoon. It looks like a place that shows up when the stars are right. I love that kind of stuff. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. Now, according to the directions, we are almost upon that designated meeting area, although it is rather hard to tell if we are to turn left or right at our next junction. We should see if someone can help us. I don't want to be here when one of those things starts. Starts what, Max? What are you talking about? So they're in this little. I remember once. Again, this comic just causes me to go off into daydreams and tangents and stuff like that. But that's part of the joy. That's one of the reasons why I'm such a slow reader. Is I'll read something and then I'll just stop, peruse my own thoughts. But I remember once I was going to work, and literally I saw a guy jump onto. So I was on the train and I was on the front car, and I was just looking, because very rarely on the subway could you look out the front. And I'm just watching, and I saw a guy jump onto the tracks, blammy. Luckily blood didn't splat up on that, and of course the train stops. The police come, and we're sitting there for like 45 minutes. This is before cell phones, so I can't call my job, tell them what's going on. They get everybody off the train. We have to get up, walk down the block, get on another train, and then continue on our destination. Well, I didn't listen. I get on the wrong train, and now I'm someplace in Brooklyn. I get off because I had to go to 18th Street or something like that, and I get off on 18th Street, but I'm in 18th Street, Brooklyn, rather than 18th Street, Manhattan. And I'm like, where am I? And I got this feeling that I was in like this like pocket dimension. Like I didn't recognize it. I think it was like a Polish. So there was the signs in Polish. The streets were really clean. There was nobody because it was like 8:30 in the morning. Streets were clean. Some of the stores weren't open yet, so it was like empty, and the signs are in. I'm assuming Polish. I was like, where the hell am I? I just woke up from falling back asleep on the subway. And I realized at that point I wasn't going to work. And my job, if you're late for work, just go home. Like, you get more trouble for being late than not showing up. I know it sounds weird, but that's the way it is. And I didn't have any way to communicate yet, So I was like, oh man. So I wandered around a bit, and then I went back on the subway and went back, and it took me forever to get back. But I was just like, I was in another dimension, and that's the way I think Max. That's why I like Max. Max, he's a blue collar guy, ex-criminal. I'm not a criminal, but Max is the voice of the everyman in this. So anyway, again, that's why I'm such a slow reader. I'll take a panel, remind me of something, I think about it, go back to the story. And you ignored me. You were staring at my sister. You don't find me attractive anymore? Hello there. Would you know perhaps you let yourself go ever since we got here? Now that seems rather unfair. I hate this horrible place. I hate you, and I hate your mother. Oh, you probably don't mean that. That's what you get. Marital spats always end in tentacle violence. We got Slurp, we got Horace, we got Max. And then we got this ad introducing Monster Summer Beach Vacation video game cartridge. You were just hanging out in your home under the volcano. Play the video game. I love this game. This was one of the last great video games, if you ask me. I played this with Frogger, Rampage, Monster Summer Vacation, Beach Party. I love that game. Curious. The worm god seems to mete out justice arbitrarily and in a draconian fashion. There it is. Malice House Estates. I hope the guy is still there. Maybe he skipped town entirely. We must keep our end of the bargain, and honor is at stakes. Perhaps he is napping. A few more cannot hurt. Maybe his different rhythm this time. Oh, a few more, and suddenly will make our presence. So he's just knocking. What? I heard you the first 100 times. You must be the butler. The what? Goodbye. And I love this. The word balloon is partially covered. Well, it seems apparent we have special to your master retreat. Blah, blah, blah. We can't see everything because did you say artifact? Let me see that. Now, apparently, Slurp said artifact. Did he? Yes, an important artifact that was delivered post haste. Did you say? Let me see. I did, but I must deliver it to your master. My master. Oh yes, I was in the middle of a meal, but welcome to Malar Manus. Right this way. My master is up in a study. Huzzah! We've made it. Your valley ancestors proud. I did not manage to catch your name. Winding stairs. I love this. Just the details that Fabrizio. In issue 2, you got to see the 2-page spread of the library. So we got trees over here. Begging the question, is this? We got a tree over here. Begging the question, is this organic? Like, is this magic? Was this house like magic, or was it carved to look like this? It definitely creates like a when you make things so alien, it's almost like, okay, it's alien. But when you make things familiar yet alien details, to me that makes like horror. Like it's one of the things in like horror movies when you see a human face but then the eyes are all black. That's like really scary. But when you see like a total monstrous mask, like the Gill Man or something like that, then you're like, oh, that's cool. Look at that. Look at the artistry behind that. It doesn't make things scary because it's just so alien that we just accept it as, oh, okay, that's a monster. But when things are very similar with slight differences, that's terrifying. Like there's no trees in houses. Actually, I've been in a house where there was a literal tree in the house. It was really, really cool. So, well, I guess we shall see shortly. His study's up here to the left. He's got a napkin. He's got a fork. Why are you carrying a fork, buddy? In here, you'll find him where I left him before my meal was interrupted. Thank you for your travel assistance, footman. We open up the door. We got a dead guy. We got this face up here with the shell. By the red crown of Sias, this is your very own client, Mr. Malice. What has happened? Murderation. He's been cut to shreds. His leg is missing, like something gnawed at him. Shall we call medical assistance? It's too late for a priest. It's too late. Call a priest. I wouldn't bother. The Veil cult paid me to retrieve their tome. I questioned him for hours, and that kind of interrogation works up an appetite. At least he's postentious. He's got his pinky extended. He's got manners, you know. He's got grace. Butler Paul, tell me you have not violated the sacred duty of valet and betrayed your employer. If this is the case, you may only make amends to turn in yourself. I'm not the damn butler. Forget it. I'll find out what you need to know from your corpse. The Veil cult pays well, but not enough for me to listen to you. So I like this. Horace H. Hoover, he's making mistakes, right? He thought Phyllis was a monster. That one we could forgive him for. This guy answers the door. He assumes he's the butler. You know, he ain't the butler. He's the assassin. Boom. Rocks him on his butt. You know, slurp goes at him. At first, I was angry you humped up my meal. Now I'm thinking, maybe I'll start with you as an appetizer. So, again, this guy's a monster. Is he vampire? Is he alien? You know, is he a mutated human? Doesn't matter. What matters is he's different, but yet he's not the scariest thing on the page. There's nothing scarier than a human. You know, when I watch horror movies, I watch movies with the devil or space aliens or whatever, and they're fine. They got little chills and frights, stuff like that. But there's nothing scarier than like murderers. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of the scariest movies ever because it's just a family of freaks. Brian Bow got me to watch a movie. What is the name of that movie? Spider Baby. And it's like a horror comedy. I found it terrifying. It's a guy goes into a house and there's like two attractive girls in it. One of the girls is like one of the models for his character Batsy, and they're suffering from a degenerative a genetic disorder that's called, as they get older, they suffer like mental breakdowns. So like they're born odd, and then they grow up, and then somewhere in their 20s, their brain just falls apart and they become less rational to the point where like it's like early onset dementia. Very serious subject, very creepy movie, and they behave in ways that make you giggle, but it's terrifying. That movie scared the crap out of me. So, you know, and it's like a good, it's not even a B movie, it's like a C movie, but I don't know if I could sit through it again. That kind of stuff scares me. Stuff that could happen is scarier than things that could never happen, is the point of my loquaciousness. But like, this guy could never happen. I don't believe in vampires, space aliens. As much as I want there to be life in outer space, I take the cynic's position until proven otherwise. So this guy's cool looking, but he ain't scary to me. This guy, a paid assassin who eats his prey, man, is that scary. Man, is that scary. And now he's annoyed that dinner was interrupted. You know, and then we got Max over here. And again, this is why I like Max so much. At first, I was angry at you interrupting my meal, but now I'm thinking maybe I'll start with you as an appetizer. How are we in a world with tentacles from the sky, and yet you're the creepiest thing here? Boom. I forgot Max even said that. Why? Because this could happen. This could happen. And I'm sure it has. Oh, we got a comment that came in under the wire. I agree. Human murders are far scarier than monsters in movies because they're too real. Yes. My friend Paul somebody gave him a set of serial killer collection, like Time Life books, serial killers. And he was like, what am I going to do with this? And he gave it to me. And I think all of us, raise your hand if you have not, because I think it'll be easier to count to it. Everybody went through like serial killer phase where you're fascinated by serial killers somewhere in your 20s. Like that freshman year of college, like, you know everything about religion, you know everything about the universe, and you think serial killers are cool. You know what stopped me of my serial killer cool? I thought they were so cool. Was the movie Natural Born Killers, when Scagnetti, the cop, played by, I can't think of his name, that troubled actor, but he's obsessed with Juliette Lewis, and he's like looking at her butt prints on the car, and he's like, oh man, that is perfect, and he's fascinated by her, and he's just turned on by her, and then he meets her, and he's just like gaga over her, and she's flirting with him and everything, and then finally, what's his name? The male character, he beats him down. They tie him up, and then she puts a gun to his face and says, "You still like me?" And then she kills him. And right then and there, boom, that was the end of my fascination with serial killers. I was just like, oh yeah, the only reason why I have a fascination with them is I haven't met one yet. It's like having a fascination with a black hole, or a lightning bolt or something like that. Like, it's all well and good when they're at a distance, and I was done. But anyway, Paul sent me these books, and I read a couple of them set in the past, but then I read the Son of Sam, and I remember I lived in New York. Well, I still live in New York in 1977, the summer of Sam, when the 44 caliber killer who later became the Son of Sam, when he was the thing. So when I read the book about he himself, what's his name, David Berkowitz, it was terrifying. It took me 2 years to read that book because I would keep putting it down. It was the most insane book ever. It was like a Lovecraft story. It was cosmic horror. He believed that there was space Captain Commander Jack Cosmos was coming after him, and it was a space alien with a dog head, and it was the next door neighbor's dog Jack that was barking and keeping him awake and driving him crazy. And he wrote all these symbols all over his house. It was terrifying because it really happened, and it happened close to home. So Max, you're 100% right. This guy is the scariest guy in this extra-dimensional pocket town of sky tentacles and an avaricious god that destroys with absolute draconian nonsense. That's the scariest thing here. Let's turn the page. And just the sense of proportion. This huge guy is beating up my man Max, the tiny little scrapper. Your little crew does put up a fight, but I've been doing this longer than you can imagine. Whilst I am unsure of your motives or your proportions, one thing I am certain, your mandible is unprotected. And the Brooklyn Edwardian Gentlemen's Pugilist Club would look unfavorable upon me if I were to let that opportunity pass. So I like this. Horace is announcing what he's going to do. He's such a gentleman, right? I'm going to enjoy this part more than usual when I string you up with that action. So he has this word balloon. He starts threatening him. He's not paying any attention. He's just continuing his thought from here, just ignoring this, So, and the Brooklyn Edwardian Gentlemen's Pugilist Club would look unfavorably upon me if I were to let this opportunity pass without action. This is Horace's mind, but this is this guy talking. But Horace is on his own world. He's got a vacuum on his head, metaphorically and literally. He appears indefatigably. That shouldn't have been possible. How did you do that? You are ignoring me, staring at my sister. What? Don't you find me attractive anymore? I hate this horrible place. I've been through this 100 gates. You're the craziest son of... I hate you, and I hate your mother. Max, slurp, get down. Time to emulate, Slurp. Max, are we out of danger? Well, his head looks cracked and his jaw's broke. Shall we call for medical assistance? No, what he needs to find is the death compass. Well done, Slurp. Well, another satisfied client. With the death compass, we are one step closer to finding the lost universe. Even if that ruffian awakens, we are with an ire towards us. He's completely unaware of our identities. And of course, he leaves a note. Dear Horace H. Hoover, located at 107 Waverly Place. As we agreed, I'm blah, blah, blah. So, dun, dun, dun. The plot thickens. Letters from the pneumatic. We got letters page. And these letter pages weren't in the original alternative version. So you can read these. And I like this. There's a story over the 5 issues being told through the letters pages. I'm not going to read it. Check it out yourself. But I just get a kick out of this. I just get a kick out of this. Horace H. versus the Slop. Hold steady, gentlemen. We seem to be wearing down this ancient evil thing. Max, if you and Slurp could knock it off balance, maybe I could able to land a right hook. We'll surely send it deep back into the cosmic sleep in which it came. The worst thing about these monsters is that you never know exactly which body part you're wrestling with. Horace, is this the foot? Oh, I hope this is the foot. And then none more black. There you go. Horace H. Hoover. I just loved it. What's going on? You got me. You got me, but it's fun. I keep getting messages whenever I go live, and I'm so addicted to my phone, I have to check. Sorry about that. But he's trying to find the lost universe. There's a smoke monster. There's a pocket dimension in the middle of Manhattan. There's an angry god destroying houses. There's an assassin cannibal guy. What's going on? That's a lot. You know, I don't know. Why does Horace have a vacuum? I don't know. But this is the kind of stuff that makes me want to keep reading. He's not just a superhero that's on the surface. You know, there's a lot going on. I'm a big fan of world building. And I was going to just throw everything in the first issue. And then I pulled back, realized it's better to let it unfold as we go. And that's what Fabrizio threw a lot at us and told us almost nothing. And I kind of dig that. I have a feeling that some of these things we'll never know. You know, we'll fill in the details ourselves. And that's cool. As long as there's enough to satisfy us, we don't need to know everything. And if it goes 100 issues, maybe we'll know everything. And at the same time, once you do know everything, it's over. You know what I mean? Like, the example that I give is Supernatural. It went 13 seasons, but we knew everything by the end of the 5th season. There was really no need to keep going. Kind of just spun its wheels. Like I hate to say it, but Spider-Man. Are there going to be any new revelations in Spider-Man? They did a new. I'm at the year 1980. I'm at 2018 for Fantastic Four. I stopped reading in 2015, and I'm weak, and I keep going back, and I'll buy a year at a time. And they revealed something about the origin of the Fantastic Four that to me was unnecessary, and it took away rather than added to the Fantastic Four mystique. And I'm starting to think it's over. You know, Horace H. Hoover, in number 1, Fabrizio just threw an avalanche at us of all of these cool details, what's going on. And I have if he went on for 100 issues, he could explain it all. But I have a feeling in these 5 issues, we're going to get a satisfying meal out of it, but we're still never going to know everything. And I kind of like that. It's you know, I could fill in my own blanks. That's good. That's good storytelling. You know, maybe I think a rookie would explain too much too fast, and that's almost what I did with my first script. I almost explained too much too fast, you know. And how pretentious is this? When you read The Hobbit, you have no concept of how vast and how deep and how detailed the world is. And then you read Lord of the Rings and you realize, oh, geez, The Hobbit is just sticking your toe in the water. And then Lord of the Rings is wading out into the ocean. And then the Silmarillion is just diving into the Marianas Trench. But you don't need to know all of those details to enjoy The Hobbit. I don't know. Am I making sense? But check this out. And I would be remiss in my duty. And Marcus has my back over here. Go to HoraceHoover.com. Is it HoraceHoover.com or HoraceHoover.com? And pick up the comic. Yep. HoraceHoover.com. Pick up the comic. They're still available. 1, 2, and 3 are still available. He's working on 4. He's going to announce it any day now. And then 5. Because 5 is after 4, even in this world of Horace H. Hoover. 5 is still after 4. I have the whole series, and Fabrizio sent me the enhanced versions when I bought the latest issue. Fabrizio's a good guy. That's the link. Yep. And Heroic Tales 2 on Fund My Comic. So there you go. I cannot sing the praises of this comic. It is mysterious and spooky. It's altogether ooky. It's different. It's quirky. There's no other comic like it. I don't know. I just really enamored by this comic. It's the story that I tell, the legend, is one day, I discovered alternate comics. I walked into a comic book store, Fourth World Comics, over here by me, and I saw what was it called? Mother Russia, I think it was, and it was like a 3-issue limited series about zombies in Russia, and it was $1.50. I was like, what is this old comic? It's on newsprint. So the guy's like, no, that's new. This is this company. They make. So I was like, $1.50, big deal. So I bought the comic, liked it, and then I went and got everything by Alterna. I was like, why not? $1.50, even if I don't like it, who cares? And then he shifted to a pre-order online model, and I just bought everything sight unseen. And in my memory, maybe I'm wrong, but in my memory, I got T-Bird and Throttle, Horace H. Hoover, and Wolf and Batsy 1 all in the same package. And oh my God, that was a great day. T-Bird and Throttle by Josh Howard, who's also does The Dead at 17. I freaking loved that book. I fell in love with that book by like 2 pages. And then after that, I'm reading Horace H. Hoover. I was like, what is this? What is this? And man, did I just loved it. The setting, 1920s New York, occult, investigator. He doesn't even need a vacuum on his head. He doesn't even need an alien sidekick. That setting alone is enough to get my interest. It's so, it's right up my alley. And then Wolf and Batsy, black and white B horror film. It was just so good to get those 3 comics at one time. And I did something I never did before. I contacted Josh. I contacted Brian Bow, and then a couple of weeks later, I contacted Fabrizio, and I bought original art from all 3 of them. Never did that before. So in my comic book room, I got Josh Howard art, got Brian Bow art, and I got Fabrizio Aiello art. Just hanging on the wall. Freaking love it. And then I had to physically stop myself from buying more and more art, because once you start buying original art, it gets rather pricey. And then, I reached out to Brian. He did an ad in my comic. I reached out to Fabrizio. He did an ad in my comic. Josh Howard did a cover. All because, so there you go. I could pontificate all day long, and I guess that's appropriate when I'm talking about Horace H. Hoover, the world's first and only 1920s occult vacuum wearing detective. So there you go. I will continue talking as long as the chat keeps going, but if the chat stops, I will end. So I'll pontificate for a second or two. So this week, I will, at this point, I always tell what's going on. Oh, I'm going to go back to X-Men. I know Marcus is enjoying the X-Men series. So am I. I forgot how much as much as I talk about how much I love this era of the X-Men, I think next week is 108. I forgot how good they were. But so this is what's going on. Thursday is Rick Veitch. We're going to be at 11:30. Rich Veitch is one of my favorite comic book creators. I'm so glad that he's willing to come on. I got so much to talk to him about. Jared, I forget who Jared is at noon on Friday, and then Jared, and then I had Ashley scheduled for Thursday from Ashley's Argonauts, but it was the only time that Rick Veitch was able to. So I reached out to Ashley. He hasn't responded yet. You see if I could do Ashley's Argonauts on Wednesday at noon instead. But that's all. And then Friday night at midnight, I will do it's clobbering time. It'll be who has the best rogues gallery. That's all I have scheduled, and then I'll probably pop in and do other things. So, and I'm also hoping to have the physical proofs of my comic Heroic Tales 2 this week, and then I could peruse them and then say yes to the final copies. So that's everything that's going on Longbox Comics this week. I'm thinking about putting in the order for the coins for the Raven. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, every comic I like to make a coin. And of course, I don't have any right here because that would be professional of me. But I make little coins. But it takes a long time, so you got to do it way in advance. So I might make the Raven coins for the Raven for Heroic Tales 3. Heroic Tales 3 is already written. Patriarch number 1 is already written. And then a bunch of stories for future issues of Heroic Tales are already written and being worked on. And I started the Santa Claus script this week. The plotting and all of that nonsense is done, and now the first draft is being written. And I already tossed out the first draft and started first draft 1.1 because I thought of another scene. I had to add in a whole scene because I learned something about the Norse gods. I was like, oh, I got to include that. So already, first draft thrown out. It's not quite a second draft because I only got like 6 or 7 pages into it. So tossed it out and revamped it. So that's the writing process. So anyway, I'm just seeing. It looks. Oh, Marcus drew a cover for Ashley. Yes, he did. And his character, the Raven, right, was on the cover. He has a 1940s aviation hero, I think, called the Raven. So there you go. Looks like the comments have died down. Check out Horace H. Hoover, and I'll see you next week. I want to go back. I found those missing Star Wars comics. I think I was going to do the first Star Wars movie, and I think I stopped around issue 3 or 4 because I couldn't find the comics. Well, I found the comics. I will continue that, and then, X-Men, maybe Star Wars, whatever, and then the odd other comic every once in a while in Sunday Comics. Thanks a lot, everybody. I guess it's time to say goodbye, kids.